Welcome, I'm Donna Smith, and this is Sound Advice. On Sound Advice, I talk about professional and personal development. Professional development, that's success, leadership, and effective communications. On the personal development side, I may cover relationships, how to reach your personal goals, and health and wellness topics. But today, I want to talk about stop being manipulated. You know, as we approach the holiday season, you may get a lot of people asking you to do things. Your family members, your spouse, your children, your friends, your neighbor, committee members, your co-workers, your in-laws. And it can be very overwhelming. And some of these people are trying to manipulate you. So I want to talk about what manipulation looks like, how they go about trying to entrap you, and what you can do to stop being manipulated. So stay tuned. So we're talking about stop being manipulated. But before we go any further, I would love for you to click that little red button in the corner, down there in the corner, so that you can subscribe. And then I know I'm talking to you. Okay, now, manipulation could feel like this. Do you ever feel pressure, or do you feel that you're being strongly nudged to go in a direction that you really don't want to go in? Do you feel sometimes that you have no choice, or that you are obligated to do something and you really don't want to do it? If you feel this way sometimes, you probably are being manipulated. You see, manipulators influence your behavior to do something, and sometimes it's underhanded, sometimes it's deceptive, but to do something that fulfills their agenda, their interests, their goals. And I'm telling you, manipulators can be artists at what they do. Sometimes they've waited to the last minute and they are in a jam, but they know they can count on you because you always come through. And manipulators, sometimes they wait to the last minute, or they're just not considerate of you and how this request can impact you. Let me put it another way. I have two scenarios. Scenario number one. Donna, my son has taken ill. He's very ill, and I'm afraid to leave him home alone. Could you please pick up Susie at the daycare until I can make further arrangements? Now that's not manipulation. Your neighbor's son became ill, and she explained to you that she will try to make further arrangements. That's a sincere request. That's not manipulation. Scenario number two. Oh, Donna, we were just talking about you. We were just talking about you. Oh, we like how you give a presentation. You have such a good sense of humor. And because of that, that is why I put your name down to speak, to be our key speaker at the holiday gala. Oh, it's just an hour presentation. I know you'll do a fine job. Oh, you always will do well. That's manipulation. Manipulators, they are artists at what they do. So what can you do? I have 4 things that you can do. So tip number 1, you can say, you know, it is last minute. I'm sorry. I can't do that. One clean, straight sentence, straight to the point. No exhaustive list of reasons why you can't do it. Just straight to the point. Just say no. Now, remember, the manipulator is an artist, so they may come back at you and say something like, oh, but you have to, because if you don't speak, well, who can I get at this last minute? And you have to, because this is the holiday gala. This is the biggest event of the year. And if we don't have a speaker, well, it's going to be ruined. So listen. So now the pressure is on you. Now you may be feeling you have no choice. You may feel obligated because you don't want everybody to think that the holiday gala was ruined because of you. But this is what I want you to do. Get yourself together and say, I'm sorry, it's last minute. I will have to say no. Tip number 2. I call it softening the blow, or I call it taking a piece of the pie. And it goes something like this. You can say, okay, I understand it is last minute. I won't agree to be the key speaker, but you did mention that there will be some side workshops and they're about 15 minutes, and I can do one of those side workshops and I can teach people how to make their own Christmas ornaments. I think that will go over very well. Soften the blow. You see, you don't take the whole pie, you just take a piece of the pie. Tip number 3, you can say, let me think about it. And I want you to think about it. I want you to think, what is it going to cost you? I want you to think, what is it going to cost you in terms of your time, resources? For example, you may have to get a brand new holiday banquet gown and the wrap that goes with it, the shoes, the purse, and all the trimmings. You may have to get your hair done, your nails done, and you hadn't planned for that. You didn't budget for that. And also, what will it cost you in terms of your health? If it's last minute and you are the key speaker, well, you may be up very late at night preparing for your speech. And even if you were to get to sleep, you may be tossing and turning, so that can impact your health. And I saved the best for last, your relationship. Are you thinking that if you don't say yes, that it is going to cost you your relationship with this person? Newsflash. If your relationship becomes unhinged or is damaged in any way because you said no, you didn't have a solid friendship or relationship in the first place. Keep it moving. Tip number 4, set boundaries. I want you to set boundaries. I want you to be thinking in terms of what's important to you. What do you want to accomplish during this time? What aspirations and interests do you have? Because if you're always succumbing to everyone else's agenda, then you start becoming just a sponge. And people start perceiving you as maybe being weak or being a reliable doormat. And you don't want to be perceived as that. So set boundaries. And when you think in terms of what is it that I want to accomplish, how much time it's going to take, then you can probably better gauge how much free time you have left. You know, I had to do that. I remember there was a time in my life that I wanted to write my own material because I'm a speaker and sometimes I do training. I didn't want to use other people's material, so I started writing books and training manuals. And during that time, I was getting a lot of requests, and so I had to set boundaries because I knew I couldn't accomplish my personal goals and say yes to everybody else. So I did number 1. I just started saying no. And after a period, well, I guess I wasn't getting as many requests, so they probably said, don't ask her, don't even bother to ask her. But anyway, I had to determine at that time what was important for me. And I want you to do the same thing because you pack your own suitcase. And what I want you to pack in your suitcase is time for yourself. And I want you to, during this holiday season, I want you to have joy, peace, happiness, and good times. You deserve that. So think of those 4 things the next time someone asks you for a request. And I will say this, it's okay. And even when I was my busiest, if there were a genuine request, such as the lady who asked her neighbor could she pick up her daughter from daycare, sure, I did things like that. I always try to work ahead so I have time for those life interruptions. So if you're always succumbing to other people's agenda, then you may be being manipulated. But now you know what to do. And I want you to practice those tips so that you won't be manipulated and you can enjoy the holiday season. And I'm Donna Smith, and that's Sound Advice.